Everybody, welcome to sales meeting. We're so grateful to have you all here, and we've got a great meeting planned. We're going to go ahead and get started. Starting with a little welcome and update from Krista Deacon, our broker.
Oh, I'm right out the gate.
You
Hi,
are.
everybody.
We're just throwing you right in.
Good morning, everybody. I just had a couple things that wanted to share. One, I just want to remind you guys, it's critical that you read. Yes, I said read. Read emails that you get from all the local, uh, state, and national associations. There's just a lot of information in there, especially on the local side. I've been seeing a lot of notices regarding vacant land scams and buyer scams that are out there. So this is something that is important, that you're aware of and kind of what to look out for. Obviously, vacant land scams, I think most everybody is aware of that because we've been talking about it a lot the last couple of years, where somebody else is trying to pose as the owner of a vacant piece of property, and is in a hurry, wants to sell at a low price. It's all, online or via WeChat or one of those other communication tools, and they just aren't who they say they are. Recently, we've had buyers out there, um, getting under contract and not providing earnest money, not providing a valid proof of funds, and then just kind of most of the time just going completely quiet crickets, and nobody can find them. Some of them get through inspection. One I heard went all the way through to closing and signed everything, and then is sitting there twiddling the thumbs waiting for his funds to show up. The funds that never appeared because he didn't have them. Anyway, I don't know what their motive is. I don't know what their end game is on the buyer side. That totally blows my mind. So just be wary of things like that when it's too good to be true. If it feels too good to be true, it might. So just bounce it off me or somebody else. Let your association know as well. So just wanted to put that out there, everybody. Thank you.
Thank you, Krista. We appreciate it. It's always good to stay aware. Um, I always, tell agents the scams are alive and well. They're not going anywhere, so we have to be extra vigilant to make sure we protect our clients. All right, we have coming up on March 20th our broker chat with Krista. This is a Google Meet where you can come and do Q&A with Krista. We don't have a prepared topic for this, but it is more conversational in the moment. We would love for you to bring your topic of conversation or question that you'd like to discuss. And yeah, Krista's just available to connect with everybody. You will get a text message from us the day of. That will include the Google Meet link, and you can also find that on the Silver Creek calendar. So 3:30 p.m. Mountain Time on March 20th is our next one. And we do bounce these around different days and times of the month, trying to um, create different opportunities for agents, who have varying schedules. So keep an eye on the calendar. We are really, really excited. Probably today, this is going to be live on this Silver Creek Toolbox, the 30-step marketing plan. And Kim Martins, our director of marketing, she has been hard at work on this. And what this does is it takes you through 30 things that you need to do to have your marketing and branding fully in place for your business. So a lot of questions that we get, about business cards and signs and websites and my Google business page and everything in between will all be covered in this 30-step marketing plan. So when this is launched, we're going to do a big release of it, but you guys are kind of getting the ahead of time sneak peek, and you'll be able to access this on the marketing page of the toolbox. So stay tuned. We're super excited. We know this is going to have a lot of value for all of our agents. So watch for that. All right, our next sales meeting is in 1 month. Company-wide sales meeting is on April 15th, and we have Carrie Holmes speaking. I think a lot of our agents are familiar with her. She is a social media expert and has a social media business. She has been working with the Intermountain Fair Housing Council to develop a class on fair housing and social media. We get a lot of questions about this. What's okay to post? What isn't okay to post? Are there certain ways we say things that we need to be aware of. And so that is what this sales meeting is all about. Like, share, comply, fair housing, and social media best practices. So definitely hands-on takeaways for everyone who uses social media and everyone who doesn't, because the same principles are going to apply across marketing platforms. So be sure to mark your calendar for this next company-wide meeting, and then watch your local communications for local meetings that are happening in your particular area in person with agents from your practice area. All right. I do not know that I've got Bluebird on here. If there is anyone from Bluebird, if you can hop on, that would be great. Otherwise, we'll grab an update from you on the Facebook group later today. Give just a second. They must have had something else come up this morning. So, and that's okay. All right, we are going to move on. I'm really excited to introduce Paige. She is from Fidelity National Title. I'll let her share a little bit more about her background, but you guys are going to love her. She is full of resources for all of our agents. All of you that are on this call are going to get a ton of value as related to farming and creating a plan for farming. So, Paige, I'm going to stop sharing and allow you to share your screen. And yeah,
Perfect.
turn it all
Thank
over to you.
you.
You're welcome.
Well, good morning, everyone. I hope everyone's having a great week so far. I'm going to go ahead and make sure I know how to actually share my screen on here. One moment. Do. Let's see.
Along the bottom taskbar, there should be a share button with a green
Oh
square.
my goodness. Right in the center of everything where it says it right there, of course. Perfect. And we're good to go. All right. I'm just going to go ahead and make sure that this is presenting and we should be good. All right, I'll move this over real quick. Well, again, good morning. I'm Paige Snider. I'm a sales executive over at Fidelity National Title in the Treasure Valley area. Fidelity National Title is national, so if you're needing any questions, maybe out of counties or out of state, you can reach out to me and I can get you connected with someone that's out there. I'm super excited to share this resource with all of you because it's an amazing tool just to have in your back pocket. We're going to be going over something called Title Toolbox. You do need to have a login for this sent through someone that works at Fidelity National Title. So if you already have a contact there, reach out to them and they can get you signed up, or they'll reach out to me to help with that information. If you don't have anyone at Fidelity National Title, reach out to me and I'll make sure you have a login after this call. But we're just going to dive in. A little bit about myself before we get started. I've been in title and escrow for 3 years, but I am also a third generation title sales executive. My father, my stepdad, and then his father as well were all in title. So I only knew running around like a crazy person for most of the time. Because we all know how that feels when you're just living out of your car and running around and doing all the specs of everything. So that's a little bit background on me. So I feel like I was born into this because you don't just fall into it naturally. But yeah, I'm super excited. I've been with Fidelity now for 2 years in March. So I did not realize the resources that they had available for you all to utilize until about a year into my position. And then once I noticed how all the things that they had, I really dove in and I became kind of their technology resource in our office. So I'm really excited to get into this with you all. If you have any questions, go ahead and put them in the chat, or we can wait until the very end and then I will answer every single question and we'll go back if there's anything related. But just so everyone's aware, when we get started into this, I have how-tos on each slide of what we're going to be talking about. So if you want to go ahead and either take a screenshot on your phone or take a picture on your phone, that way you have something to navigate after this call. So here we go. So intentional farming is kind of more what I'm going over right now. We all know what farming is. And if you don't know what farming is, it's where you're focusing on one specific area to find some leads and some traction in a specific area. So what the intentional part of that is we're going to pull lists of people who are more likely to list or sell their home in specific areas. We're also going to pull a list of what they call a lead sheet within Title Toolbox. And that's going to go over people who have had a notice of default in their home, bankruptcy, lien, Liz pendants attached to their home as well. That's going to incline them to sell their property. So we're going to go ahead and dive into that one. Perfect. So this is Title Toolbox. It has multiple ways to pull properties, maybe a radius search, a boundary search, or an area search. Radius and boundary are going to be more about looking up a specific address and then gaining the information from that area. Area search is going to be based on zip codes. So if you just want to go over and just look up the zip code for 83642, you can get all the information for that area. So these are the ones that we're going to be going over. If you wanted to take a screenshot of this or take a picture of it on your phone, I would go ahead and do that now. That way you have something to reference after this call. So like I talked about earlier, a lead sheet is the first thing that we're going to go over after this. It's everything that has had a life event in that area within the last 12 months. So it's fantastic. You can purchase the phone numbers and the emails from this page. That's the only thing you pay on there is if you want phone numbers or emails. So it's 16 to 18 cents per lead, which is less than lunch these days, is what I always tell people. So if you have the time or the money to do this, I would say fully take on this and run with it. Another farming tool that we're going to go over too is what I discussed before was the radius, the boundary, and the area search. So we're going to go over all three of those as well and how to pull information from them. There's also a really neat tool that they added on there. It's called statistics and turnover tool. So anyone that has had a turnover ratio within the last 12 months is what we're going to look up. And I'm going to show you exactly what percentages to put on there so that you get the best results. So this is what a lead sheet looks like. So if you want to take a screenshot of this or take a picture of this, this is how to pull a lead sheet on Title Toolbox. So the first thing we're going to do is look up a property address. Then we'll drop a pin and it's going to show us exactly that address. You're going to select to generate a report and it's going to populate on another screen. Down below, it says lead sheet as the last option. So you'll choose that option. And then either you can email it directly to yourself or just check the report out first before. I always encourage people to do that because sometimes you'll get to an area and there'll be nothing there. So you'll get all excited to get the email and then nothing is there. So are we okay to move on? Okay, I see some. Perfect. The other one that we're going over is the statistics and turnover tool. So I'll show you how to do that, but this is another one that you can take a picture of or screenshot on how to. What's really nice about this tool is that it breaks it down for neighborhoods. That way, if you're wanting to do some intentional farming around a specific neighborhood based on how high their turnover percentage is, then you can just do that. And it'll break it all down for the most to the least. And you'll be able to see kind of why. It's a lot of places, if they've been in their home for longer than 6 years, they move up into that bracket of more likely to sell their home. All right, I'm going to go ahead and go next. Now, I will say with everything, because we're a non-disclosure state, these phone numbers have not been scrubbed for the do not disturb list. So if you want to go ahead and scan this, I will also open up the website so you can take a look. But this is the website that you can go through and comb through which phone numbers are and aren't on the do not disturb. So I'll give a minute for everyone to do that. Perfect. Okay, I'm going to go ahead and exit out of this and get into Title Toolbox so that you all can see what the resource looks like. I already signed up a couple of people at your brokerage just recently. So I looked up some addresses for us all to look up together just so you can get a rundown of how that works. The first thing we're going to go over is how to look up a lead sheet. So as you can see on here, the moment you log in, this is exactly what the screen is going to look like. Right here, you can see a property search. So if you want to just look up someone's property information, you can do so on here. Farming, the drop down of what we discussed, the radius search, boundary search, and area search. Those are the three that you're only going to ever use on here, unless you want to get in here to your saved searches. I always encourage people to make sure that they save the searches always, because you can go back in there, put different parameters in and pull another list off of that list if you want to get a little bit more specific. There's the statistics one right there too, and same thing. You can do a radius, boundary, and area search. This button, I always tell people, don't worry about this. If you don't already, I want to make sure everyone has our Fidelity Agent 1 tool. It's something that is very easy to navigate, branded to you and everything. So we'll talk about that a little bit later. But I'm going to go ahead and put in an address. I looked up a couple of different ones already. Okay. And like I said, this is across the whole US. So if you wanted to even reach out to people who are in another state to try and get them maybe to move over to Idaho, you can start being the resource for them. I picked the longest name possible. There we go. Right here in Meridian. So it's going to auto-populate. Just make sure you choose the correct one. It's going to drop a pin down where the house is. Perfect. And then we're going to hit this generate report. Down below here where it says lead sheet. Now, if I wanted to generate it for you, I would hit to generate for another user. But since I'm not going to do that right now because I want to show you all how to properly purchase the phone numbers and emails off of this sheet, I'm just going to hit generate report. But if you reach out to me and you say, I want this area with this big of a radius and this, I can go ahead and send it right over to you. And I can't see if there's any comments or messages yet, so I don't know if someone's able to do that for me.
Paige, we don't have any at the moment, but I'll let you know.
Perfect. Thank you. Okay, so right here, it's going to say click here to view your report. So we're just going to click on the here. And there you go. So it's going to let you know that in this area, it's a 2.5-mile radius. Anyone that has had a life event are right here. It's going to even break it down on this side of the actions. If you want to just purchase the phone numbers individually, like once a month, once a week, once a day, however you want to do it, it's all up to you. It's your business. So this notice of default, there's 8 people within this 2.5-mile radius. This is all estimated price. We always say estimate. And then in the potential commissions, this is the potential commissions you could gain from helping these people sell their home. So does anyone have any questions on what all of these mean on the side? Notice of default, lien, affidavit of death, notice of trustee sale, bankruptcy, and list pendants. No? Perfect. Then down below, it says purchase contact information for up to 300 homes around this address. If that's something that you want to do, you're more than welcome just to hit right here and buy now. If you just want a list of the names, when they bought their home, if they're an owner or a non-owner occupied, and their address, you can always just go back to boundary, radius, or area search for that. Perfect. I'm going to go back here. That's it. I mean, it's so quick. It's so easy. You just save it. It saves directly into your farm, and then you're just good to go. Oops, this keeps popping up on me. There we go. Now, if you want to just purchase the phone numbers, like I said, you'll go in here. It says there's 8 properties in that area, so the total price for that is $1.28. So then you'll hit pay now. I always encourage people to put their credit card or debit card information into your profile prior. It just makes this part so much easier. And then when I choose this option, perfect. So I just enter my information. I pay secure. They're always careful about your information for people who are worried about that. It's a double authenticator on here for you. And then you just purchase your credits on there. And then down below, you're able to export this CSV in so that if you want to utilize it for marketing, you can plug it into a company and they'll just export it for you because it's an Excel spreadsheet. Perfect. Next thing I wanted to go over was a radius search. What's nice is even if you don't know the address, but you know the area, you can just go through, zoom in, and just pin an area. And if that looks good to you, you can utilize this add filters right here, or you can change your radius. It defaults at half a mile, just so everyone's aware. So I always tell people if it's a highly populated area, just to keep it at half a mile. You don't ever want your farming list to be larger than 200 properties. I mean, go for you if you want to, but I think 200 properties is the best for your buck, and it's a great way to just start utilizing your money as well. So a mile radius, I'm going to go ahead since this area that I clicked on is a little bit more highly populated. I'm going to do a half a mile. If you don't like this space, you can move this as well. I'm going to keep it there just so y'all can see. So I'm going to add some filters on here. If there's one thing that you take away from this call, it's this. You're going to go ahead on all of these tabs up here. You can change anything that you want. If you want just your list to have owner occupied people, you could put that on there. If you want to change this and drop down and maybe do some commercial properties, you can do that if you're someone that's in commercial. If you want just residential, it pulls that up. Now, if you pull up residential and say you don't want a duplex, you just exit out of it. If you don't want a mid-rise condo, because I don't even know if that's even here, a high-rise, we have some of those, but just exit them out. You don't need them. The biggest part that you want on there is to make sure that it has the residential piece of it. So on assessment and taxes, this is something that you can dive in a little bit more to if you want to do something more specific. I know tons of people that come on here just to see assessed value is equal to. So maybe someone who purchased back in 2020 in this area, maybe they purchased their home at $375,000 and you know that they would be able to gain equity from selling their home. You can come in here and change their value on this to 375 and then plug in that way.
Paige, there's one question that popped up.
Yes.
How does this site verify next sellers? What are they basing that off of?
Great question. So they're basing the next sellers off of how long that they've lived in their home based off their purchase date. So if they've been in their home for longer than 6 years, they already drop into the bracket of being someone to sell. Because normally it's 7 years. And so if you start getting in front of them at 6 years to gain their trust and see your name and get your, face-to-face value with them, they're going to be more inclined to sell with you. So I like that they do it that way rather than doing it right at the 7-year mark when they know that they need to maybe upgrade or downgrade their home. Does that answer the question?
Yes, I think it does.
Perfect. The next thing I always like to go over is in the custom filters tab, there is a button right here. So what I just talked about right now in that next seller, you'll just make sure this filter's on and it puts it right into that bracket. So you can always go, of course, and farm a whole neighborhood, or you can farm to the people in that neighborhood that are more inclined to sell their home. So in that area, I'm showing 83 properties in that area for people who are more likely to sell. Now, if you don't want the addresses, you just want to go right to the phone numbers, you go right here to this Premier Data tab where it has the star. And this is where you're going to be able to purchase the phone numbers and the emails. If you just want phone numbers, you just click phone numbers and it's going to tell you how many that they have on there. So I'm going to hit get count here so we can take a look. So out of those 83 properties, it's showing as 83 phone numbers and that it's going to be charging you $5.81 if you were to pay now. I always let everyone know on here, there will be some times where they say they have 83 phone numbers, but then you only get 78 of those phone numbers. When that happens, they actually just put the charge back into your account for those 5 phone numbers that they said were going to be in there. So you always have to give it usually takes about 4 to 6 hours when that happens. So just know it'll go right back into your account. Does anyone have any questions about that though? Perfect. I need to move this quick. There we go. All right. So we just went over radius search. I'm going to go ahead and go over boundary search. So again, let's go in this area. Drop a pin. And you can make whatever shape you want to do. I'm going to do something like this. A lot of people will go on here and they'll like a specific area, but there's a street that they want nothing to do with. And so you could always come in here and make sure you don't get that street. Once you get your area, just make sure you drop your pin exactly where you started. Oops, didn't like that. Let's try this again. All right. Okay. Now, if I don't like how that was, you can just clear it, clear your search, do it all over again. You can even grab this and move this around exactly how you need it. Same situation that we just went over. This is where you just put your filters in on what you want in your farming list. I always encourage people to go to your custom filters. The next seller filter just needs to be on. So for this area, it's showing 219 properties. That's fantastic. I made our search a little bit bigger just so you guys could see the difference. I'm going to go ahead and show you what the results look like so you could take a look. So it's going to give the address. It's the whole address, when it was sold in, the owner's name, the APN, the tract, and then over here on the far right side, if it's owner or non-owner occupied. That way, if you want to go after just the owners, just so you're going straight to the source, you can do that. On here, it shows the possible leads, and that's from that lead sheet that we created at the very beginning. It's showing in that area, there's one affidavit of death. So if you want to save this search, you can always get to that by hitting this new possible leads button that's right over here. Any questions about the boundary search though? Perfect. So I'm going to show you area search. That's all based on zip codes. So let's say we want Idaho. Idaho, we want, oh, hold on 1 second. I have to make sure I clear my search before I do another search. Perfect. Okay, so we're going to go right down here to area search on our farming tab. I'm going to choose, we just did Meridian. Let's do Eagle. We're going to select a zip code. It's going to drop down all the zip codes that's in that area. I'm going to go over here to our custom filters because we want the next sellers on there. Zero properties in that area. Let's change our zip code. No, yeah, it does not like that zip code. So we're going to change the zip code.
You've got a Meridian zip code in there for Eagle City.
Oh, weird. Why is it doing that?
83616.
Eagle. That's why it was like, we can't do that. Sorry, that's counterproductive. Okay, well, let's see. Because those are all Canyon County. 16 is an Eagle, though, correct?
83616 is Eagle, yes.
Okay, that's what I was thinking. Perfect. Thank you.
Is there a limit page of how many contacts you can pull each month?
Not at all. No limit at all. That's all what you want to spend.
Thank you.
Absolutely. So just in this one zip code area with that next seller filter on, it's showing as 1,567 properties. So up to you if you want to download that and do whatever you want to do. I'll show what that looks like. Perfect. So because there's so many properties on here, I'm going to hit that new possible leads button just so we can take a look. On here, it's showing there's 3 people with a notice of default, 3 notice of trustee sales, and 2 liens on the home. So when I send you a list, or if you make a list for yourself, just make sure that you're coming into the Save Share tab and that you're saving this. Now, when I save this information, I'm very specific. So that way, when I go back to it, I know where I need to find. So say I made this for Bob, and we're going based off of an area search. Whoops. And we're going off of the zip code, so 83616. Some people put NS. I do that just so people know it's the next sellers instead of it just being the full list of all the farming in that area. So, and then I save it. That way, when I go back, I know exactly what I need to look for. So if I have a client reach out to me and they said, that farming list that we made last year, I can't remember if we put the next seller filter on there, if they're owner occupied, non-owner occupied, if they have 3 bedrooms or 2 bedrooms, you can go back in and change that information and then go back in. And what's nice on here too is it will update for you. So if there's people that start going into the bracket, it'll notify you and let you know that you've added some addresses in this save. Is there any questions about that though? Perfect. We are cruising. I love this. So I'm going to go ahead and clear this just so I get in the habit of that, because sometimes I just get excited and I go on to the next one. So the things that we have saved in here will all be in your saved searches. So right there, I saved the Bob area search. It'll be right here. If you need to access this, you're going to go right here, pull it down. You can rename it. You could share it to someone. You could delete it because it didn't work out for you. If you just want to see all the information or change anything on here, you just select it. And this over here is again where you can find the phone numbers and email addresses. And then I always let people know there is a spot on here for mortgage information. This is if you and your lender want to kind of come in here and partner up together on an area. This would be something that really interests them. I do a training for loan officers as well so that they know how to properly utilize this. So if you have any of your lenders that want to take a look and just get a better list for themselves instead of just blindly sending it out, I can help them with that. Again, that lead sheet button right here, that's this tab is as well. Perfect. Okay, before I go to statistics, is there anything that I need to go back to on the farming tab for anyone?
I don't see any questions
Perfect.
that we haven't answered.
Perfect. Okay, so we're going to dive into the statistics area now. So I'm going to make sure that this is cleared so it's nice and clear. We're going to go to statistics. We'll do the radius search. I'm going to go ahead and go off of the same address that I did earlier just to keep it compliant. I chose the craziest name. Perfect. So like I said, it's going to drop a pin. We're going to drop a pin next to that pin just so it knows that it needs to utilize that space right there. I'm going to scooch it over just because I don't want it on the street. And let's say we default this to, it goes up to 5 miles. Sure. Let's just take a look. I know it's going to be a crazy one, but I always just like to kind of see what's going on in these areas right here. So we're going to add the filters. Sorry, I need to move this over really quick. There's going to be a lot of subdivisions in this poll, so I just always let people know about that.
Hey, Paige, did you by chance stop sharing your screen?
It says you are screen sharing.
Okay.
Is it on?
I'll figure it out on my end then. I'm not sure what changed. Thank you.
I can go back real quick. Let's take a look here.
We can see it. Haley,
Okay.
Leave the meeting and come back in. There might be some glitch.
Interesting.
Haley,
Okay.
I just had to do that a moment ago too. So.
Oh, funny. Okay. Okay. Thank you.
It's not just you.
If you look on the very top left, you will see I had the same problem. I was just seeing the camera like she was just the camera. In the very top left, that is like sharing. So
Oh,
click on,
I see that. It fixed it
yep,
for me. Thank you.
you're welcome.
Thank you.
Welcome.
Perfect. So we're on the statistics tab on the radius search. So that's what we just did. I did a 5 mile radius. So in here, this is where you want to take note for the percentages on the turnover ratio. So you always want it at a minimum of 2%. I don't know why, but that's just what it helps with their algorithm things that are in here. And we're going to do a max of 15%. The one thing I will say about this tool is you have to be very specific. Um, if you're not, then it's as if it kind of doesn't know how to do its job. So it'll make you go backwards in order to go forward. That's one thing I always tell people when they give me a call and they're like, I can't pull this information or whatever. I always let them know, okay, well, did you make sure that this is on? And they'll be like, oh, no, I didn't. So if you ever have an issue, please reach out to me. I mean, I pull these things all day. I feel very comfortable in this process. So don't be afraid to ask what they quote unquote say a stupid question because there is no stupid questions in this. So we pulled this list on that 5 mile radius on here. So as you can see, the turnover ratio right here is all the percentages. It's showing us how many homes are in this area, what the average price is as well. So I'm going to go ahead, since this one's at the very top, I'm going to go ahead and select this subdivision. The detailed stats are just going to kind of run you through why they're in this bracket. You're more than welcome to get in after this call and go take a look in maybe your subdivision. I always encourage people to look around them first before they look out. So on here, I'm of course going to put next seller filter on. And then I'm going to go ahead and hit get count. So 3 properties. You can add this as one of on your list and just keep going. And that way you're only reaching out to the people that are more likely to sell. So I'm going to download these and see why they're in that criteria. So it's showing these 3 properties. It's giving us the zip. They were sold in this time frame. The owner of the owner's name. Sorry, this is over here. And then if it's occupied by an owner or non-occupied. I see someone has their hand up. Is that Melissa?
That is me. I had a question. When we're looking at that statistic of turnover rate and it says 14 point something, what makes up that number? What are they saying that that person is 14% likely to sell their home? I guess I'm just not understanding what that number really means.
It's kind of a confusing one in here. I've done a couple of different webinars on this for the people that have created this software. They always tell people to do a smaller number only because once you make a larger number, it's not as likely that you're going to get a list of anything on here. It's based off of the same information that we were looking at prior. So anyone has been in their home for longer than 5 years. So this one goes 5 year base and then forward, right? It's also showing if it's also pulling by owner too. So if it's showing that the owner has moved a lot, they're going to go ahead and put them in that default as well. Does that make sense?
It does. Thank you.
That's why I always show people the percentages because I don't want them to get in there and put 30% and then not pull a list for them. It's more of people who are in it because it's a non-disclosure state. It does make it kind of difficult to pull this information. So when I had the gentleman Zoom call with me on this, when they first released the statistics tab, he told me, well, because of your area, I would do a smaller number. Does that make sense, Melissa?
Thank you.
It's kind of it is a little bit confusing. So I had tried to ask him all the questions first. But yeah, I'm like, I wish I could just put 80% in there. I just want to know people in that area that would definitely sell their home, at least 80% of them. But it's all based on how many people are in there.
Thanks.
Of course. Okay, so say I love this. I'm going to save it and I'm going to reach out to these 3 people. I always, when I sit down with clients, I let them know you mail something first, you call them, text them, mail something, because then at least that they've seen your information out there and they know that you're doing your due diligence to reach out to them. So I'm going to go ahead and save this search. So we're going to do statistic or Bob stats. And then we did it in Meridian. So I'll say it was by Overland. So that's how I like to save them. I always do, for me, I always do the client's name, but you can do it however you want. Just make sure you know how to get back to it. Perfect. I'm going to go ahead and go back and pull. So we're going to clear the search. Done. Since the boundary search is similar, I'm going to go ahead and do an area search if everyone's okay with that. Perfect. See, you can pull it by a state. So if you wanted to go to Florida and pull some addresses in Florida, you can definitely do that. Let's do, I'm going to do Canyon County, 83605. You can even change it by the property tract. This is just the mailing route. So if you want to make sure that you're not reaching out to someone that doesn't even get mail or anything like that, you can change that in here. I always tell people just keep it at property tract. So let's go ahead and do, based on this area in Caldwell, let's do like 150 to 500. Turnover ratio, 2%, maximum of 15%. And I'm going to search. No records found. So when that happens, you just have to adjust. So I can even just delete this and search. No records. Interesting for that area. So when that happens, I always tell people just to hit the residential button that's right in here. What's going on here? We're exiting out. We're going back. Okay, Canyon County, 83605. That's weird. Normally it lets me pull down the residential button, but it's not liking that today. 2%, max of 15%. No records of that area. It could just be the area. Let's change this. Zero 07. Well, it does not like Canyon County, apparently. It's too blinky. Interesting. Okay, so on here, it's showing me in Boise in this exact area. These are all the subdivisions that it's pulling. I can go down to the bottom to show everyone on here. So on here, it's showing a 5.88% turnover ratio. And it's based off of 1429. I just always tell people do it if there's more homes in there. You are more than welcome to go through here and pull every single person that's more likely to sell off each of these. If that's the kind of time you have, go for it. Perfect. So I'm going to hit next seller. On. I'm actually going to pull what it looks like to not put the next seller filter on, just so you can take a look what the difference is. So in that subdivision, there's 42 properties based on that turnover ratio. Now, if I put the next seller filter on, there's 11 properties. Perfect. So it shows us when they were sold and if they're owner or non-owner. And you can always change it on there if you don't want to see the non-owners as well. Yeah, and then just make sure you save everything that you make. So that way you don't do all that work for nothing. That way when we go back, we can find it. But that is all the information I have on Title Toolbox. So I'm going to go ahead and open it up for questions. Does anyone have anything that they want me to go back over again? I just have to figure out how to get back into this.
Who's recording this one?
Yes, we are recording it. There will be a recording.
Okay.
Perfect. I'm going to go ahead and present this part again.
Paige, can you share, like, if there's someone on the call that's newer with farming, can you share some strategies that you would encourage them to consider?
Absolutely. So, like I said earlier, I always encourage people to market around where they live first. That way, you can let them know you're their local neighborhood real estate agent. I always keep the farming list between 150 to 200 for your first time doing it. And I would pick 2 locations for that. That way, at least you're starting a base somewhere and then you're going outwards. I know there's a lot of people that don't like hearing this, but door knocking is amazing, even if you're dropping off a resource to them. So I always tell people, please do not send out just sold cards because people are going to grab them. They're going to look at them and be like, okay, and they're going to throw them away. I always show people in our marketing center that we have for you all to do something of value. So may it be how to break up how to measure things. Maybe local dog parks in the area, golf courses, hot springs. I know people who are here and from Idaho hate hearing that, but people move here because of those things. So make sure that you're doing something of value when you're sending out rather than let them know that you just sold in this area. I also have a really amazing thing that I learned a couple of months ago that I've only been sharing with a select few of people. I don't know how many of you do listings, but I have a whole how-to listings and how to do an open house plan of action as well. So if that's something that you need, because maybe you've been looking to get into doing open houses this year, I can provide that for you and you can take what works best for you. But I will do a takeaway for everyone on here for if they have a listing and they just sold the listing or they bought buyers to this listing in this neighborhood. I encourage you to take a card, go around the neighborhood, ask people if they'd like to sign it for the incoming buyers of your neighborhood. That way you are face to face with them. You're doing something of value for someone in their neighborhood. And then at that point, you can start sending things every 3 to 4 months to them so that they start getting more inclined to utilize you as their real estate agent. I always tell people to do that. Another thing I always let people know about is if you have a listing, everyone does the door knocking of introducing themselves, but I always do something what's called a 5 around. So you have the people who are right next door to you, and then you have the houses. There are 3 houses that are just across the street. Make sure you reach out to them, give them your contact number, let them know that I understand this is your neighborhood too. So if there's anything that happens during the time that I'm listing this home by you, I want you to call me. If you feel like someone's hanging out for too long around the area, they're leaving trash when they're coming around the area. Whoever's there is just too noisy and you have kids and it's concerning you, I want you to call me. That way I can go and find the agent that brought them to this home to have a conversation with them for their next time that they're going to be doing this. Just creating a relationship base with the people around that area is going to be huge for you instead of just listing it, selling it, and then having nothing to do with the area. So yeah, I'll send those pages over to you, just so you have them as a resource, but I always want people to reach out to me for that kind of stuff.
Awesome.
Another thing I wanted to share is our Fidelity Agent One app. This is a fantastic tool. And yes, it is another app, but it's one that you'll be utilizing often. You can come on here, you can use it on your phone or on your computer or laptop. It's for net sheets. It has 15 calculators on there. You can brand it to you for $9.99 for the entire year, which is less than lunch these days, is what I always tell people. Why not spend the money on it to make you look better as a real estate professional? It also releases twice a month Tom Ferry webinars on there. And if you wanted to get more into social media, which I know that's something that you all are hosting next month for all your agents, it can get you started. It's got social media infographics on there that you can brand to you as well. So I'm going to leave this up for a moment. But if you have any questions about this one too, I do Zooms, I sit down to meet with people, whatever works best for your schedule.
Thank you, Paige. I've got a couple other questions in the chat here.
Oh, perfect.
So depending on what part of, where the practice area for the agents on the call, where should they go to get in touch with their local Fidelity rep?
You can go ahead and email me down here below. I have my email and I can get you in touch with someone that's in your area.
Awesome. That's great. And then Joe's asking, what are the privacy rules related to the information that you're pulling out of Title Toolbox?
What do you mean by privacy? Like their information that's being released to us?
Right.
Well, that's why in the very beginning I said sometimes they're not scrubbed through the do not disturb list. We won't get all of the phone numbers for specific areas just because it is a non-disclosure state. So anything that we get is based on if it's been registered. So it pulls based on their names.
Awesome.
Does that answer the question?
That does. Someone has their hand raised. I can't see who it is though, so go ahead and chime in.
Perfect.
Hey, it's Nivania. Thank you, Kristen.
Yeah.
So I actually have been trying to access what you're showing inside of the 24/7 tools.
Mm-hmm.
Did receive the password and login just by going to the page and contacting customer service. If
Okay.
you want to do that, is also pretty fast. However, when I go in, the dashboard is pretty limited. It has nothing that you explain. Like, it's like you go in and open up just a little screen with a search and you put address.
Is this for Title 24/7 or Passport?
This is for FNET 24/7. That's what it is.
Okay.
Page in Idaho.
What area are you looking up?
Is independently of area. So when you go to fnetidaho.com,
Mm-hmm.
you go there and then you have tools to work with, and then you have the FNT 24/7, and then you have the option to download the app, which I already downloaded, and I saw the option to pay the $99 yearly. So when
For the Fidelity Agent. Fidelity Agent, is that one you're talking about? Okay.
Yeah, so when I went inside of the FNT 24/7 with the login that they provided, when you log in, you do not have like a dashboard like what you showed. It's just like a simple search by city, or you
That
just
FNT 24/7 is just to be able to pull property information. So there won't be a dashboard on there. That's just we service the 4 counties on FNT 24/7. So Ada County, Canyon County, Boise County, and Gem County. If it's anything outside of that realm, you won't be able to look it up.
No, not at all. I was not even looking. My question is, the product I have is different. The product that you're showing, it's like you're showing Coca-Cola, and I'm looking at Pepsi.
So we just went over Title Toolbox. That's a different. That's not something that we have through Fidelity. We purchased this so that you all could utilize it. The 24/7 is to look up property information, not farming information. Does that make sense?
It does. So, and
Okay.
then maybe my question is, how do I get what you got?
So you're going to go ahead and email me your information and I'll get you plugged into it. You'll receive an email from Title Toolbox. Then you can create your password.
Awesome. Thank you so much.
Absolutely.
Thank you. Paige, we have one of our Montana agents on the call and then also a Valley County agent, and they're just wanting to confirm that Title Toolbox is a feasible tool for them in their area.
Yes, it is.
Awesome. Another question, can you actually, Joe, I'm gonna your question was reviewing the check your numbers process. I'm gonna connect you with Paige to go over that one-on-one, and then we'll have a recording of this call also. But for sake of time, we're gonna circle back on that one. And
Absolutely.
then were there any other questions that we didn't cover? If so, feel free to chime in.
Oh, now I can see the chats. It wasn't showing me this entire time. Now it's
Probably
working.
because yeah, maybe because of your share screen. Anyway,
I think so.
all right. Any other last thoughts, Paige, or any questions from anybody before we wrap up for today?
Nothing. I'm just thankful to be able to do this. Thank you so much for inviting me. And please reach out if anyone has any other questions. I am on vacation right now, so I will answer you at my earliest convenience, but know that I am taking this time with my family this week.
Awesome. Yes, and we hope you have a great time. Thank you for sharing this tool. A question we get a lot at the brokerage is, how do I get this info? And this is the answer, right? And it's really amazing that Fidelity has invested in this program to be able to connect agents to the resources. For those that want to watch a recording of this, by the end of the week, the recording will be up on our Silver Creek TV. In our sales meeting playlist. So thank you all for tuning in, and thank you, Paige, for your time and expertise. We really appreciate it.
Of course. Thank you all. Have a great rest of your week.
Thank you. Bye.